G'day, welcome back to Outback Action Figures for another Top 3 Thursday. Now, following on from last week where I did my Top 3 Spider-Man figures, I thought the natural continuation of that would just be to do the Top 3 Spider-Man villains. And as we can see, there's so many awesome options to choose from here. There's tons more that I couldn't even fit on the shelf here, but I just selected a few of my favourites. If I was a betting man, I would say Spider-Man has the best sort of rogues gallery in all, well, especially in Marvel. But I'd be tempted to say in all of sort of comic books in general. I know there's an argument to be made for Batman. You know, he has some, well, easily some of the most iconic villains as well. But I do think Spider-Man's villains here, I do believe that they beat them out just slightly. I would say Spider-Man's selection of villains here are just a slightly better group in general. I don't know exactly how to measure it, but yeah. Anyway, let's just carry on, will we? Tons of awesome figures here. Now, these are all from Marvel Legends. I'm sure there are other companies that make them. I know most of them usually do the hero characters. But yeah, as I've said before, the majority of my collection is Marvel Legends, so I've got a whole bunch of these guys here. There's a bunch of other ones, like I said, I just couldn't fit them all on together. But yeah, let's just crack on into it. If you've already seen the short, then sorry to spoil it, but yeah, you already know what the top 3 are. But for those who haven't seen that yet, let's crack on with number 3. So first up on the list in the number 3 spot, we've got Mysterio. Now, obviously, he is one of the more iconic villains. At first, it may seem like a fairly simple design, just this sort of grid pattern on his outfit here, and, you know, the cape, of course. But, you know, it's his classic design. It's instantly recognizable, especially with, you know, the fishbowl helmet and the big red cape, and as well as these, you know, sort of translucent magic effects that he's got as well. So as soon as you see him, you just instantly know, yep, that's Mysterio. There's no sort of, ooh, who is that? You know what I mean? So, yeah, anyway, instantly recognizable. Now, as I was saying, yeah, it may appear like a sort of simple outfit, but if we have a bit of a closer look here, you'll see that his whole green bodysuit here has actually had like a sort of dark green wash put over it. So it's kind of sunk into, well, all the grid lines for starters, that sort of checker pattern. But it's in sort of the crevices as well, like in the musculature along the sides here. So along the legs and, you know, the chest bit here and the arms as well. So it just helps to bring out some of the detail in it for a, you know, relatively simple outfit, just a green jumpsuit, basically. It does help, you know, just give a bit more depth, a bit more life to it. Otherwise, it would be just very flat, plain green. You know, obviously with the helmet and the cape and everything else, but the main part of the outfit would be fairly plain otherwise. But, like I said, that dark green wash over the top really does help, you know, just sort of bring it to life. And if we pop this off, let's have a look. So he does actually have, like, a sort of translucent head sculpt on there underneath. So I guess if you ever really wanted to, you could display him like this. I'm not sure why you would, but I mean, it's cool to have that as an option, you know, as a possibility. It's interesting they don't give him just a regular head sculpt, you know, of Quentin Beck, I believe is his, you know, real name. If you ever wanted to display him without his helmet and everything on, you could have, you know, his regular head, but I don't know, for whatever reason they've given this translucent one. I mean, it still looks cool, but yeah, I don't see why well, with this version of the head, I don't know why you would ever display it without the helmet on. So anyway, let's just take a quick look at that as well. So if we see up close here, you can actually see the cape has this, like, detailed pattern all the way through it. So it's not just flat, you know, reddish maroon sort of plastic. It does actually have that sculpted texture on there. So again, like the bodysuit, we're having the wash on it. This helps, again, just bring a bit more detail into the character. Unfortunately, it's not on the back, but for the most part, you're not going to be looking at the back of the figure anyway, so it's not a huge deal. It does have some nice sort of sculpted wrinkles and folds, you know, like actual cloth cape. But, you know, it is just a sort of soft-ish sort of plastic. But anyway, yeah, it's awesome to have that detail. So when you look at it from the front, you can see some of the sculpted texture on here. So that's pretty cool. The actual fishbowl sort of part on top, it does have a slightly sort of pearlescent kind of finish to it. It's, you know, it's basically just plain sort of white, but yeah, with that shiny, yeah, pearlescent sort of effect on there. Which, you know, just adds to the effect. It looks pretty cool. And he just has his, you know, gold sort of clasps on the front. Now, unfortunately, with this peg, once you sit that over the top of, once you put the helmet, you know, the helmet and cape is all just one piece. When you sit that over his head, if you try to actually plug that peg into his back, like that, and then you got these clasps and everything really just sits up above the chest. So it doesn't really look right when you have it that way. So normally I'll leave that peg unattached and just let it sort of sit there, just, you know, balanced by the helmet just sitting down onto his head, basically. I think that looks better because otherwise, yeah, when it's standing up, it just doesn't quite look right. I mean, if you wanted to, you could put a bit of glue or something to hold that down, just so it's not, you know, sticking up. But either way, it still looks awesome. As I said, it's very recognizable. The little magic effects down on his feet, they look awesome as well. He's just an awesome representation of the character. He is definitely up there amongst the most iconic in Spider-Man's villains. So, yeah, I just thought he was a perfect start to the list at number 3. So, let's move on to the next one. Now, in second place, we have Carnage. Now, as you would have heard me talk about before, I'm a big fan of Venom and just the symbiote characters in general. So here we have Carnage, who's probably, well, aside from Venom, who would be, the most iconic of the symbiote characters. So yeah, I just thought he was another perfect one to include here. Now, with Venom being more of an anti-hero these days, I thought, Carnage really fits the bill of being a villain character, because he really doesn't have any redeeming qualities at all. The host of the symbiote, like the character underneath, what's his name again? Cassidy? Shit, I'm drawing a blank. Anyway, yeah, the character who's underneath this symbiote is basically I think he is literally a serial killer, in the comics. So, yeah, the combination here of just a savage, chaotic symbiote attached to a serial killer, you get Carnage. And he definitely lives up to his name. He is just chaos incarnate, basically. But yeah, he makes for an awesome design. All the crazy tendrils and stuff sticking up there. I mean, the most obvious thing here, he has this big sort of axe blade coming out of his hand. The other side is like a big claw, the massive long, claws on his hand, with more gooey tendrils and stuff sticking out everywhere, on the arm, on his back, down on his legs here. And yeah, as I've said before, in previous videos, I just love black and red designs, whether it's characters or their costumes or whatever. In this case, it's the actual character himself is just red and black. I think he looks awesome. The character's really cool. And yeah, another super iconic villain from Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery. So I thought he was a perfect fit here for the number 2 spot. Let's move on to number 1. Now, finally, in first place, this may be a little unexpected, but I've gone with the Demo Goblin. Now, this one's just such a cool looking figure. He just has this whole monstrous sort of goblin, the monstrous demonic sort of goblin appearance. There's tons of awesome details on him. I mean, his glider is like a flaming demon, basically. So, yeah, just everything about him is super cool. Has a very, sort of extreme 90s kind of appeal to him. Appearance, sorry. And yeah, look, I'll be honest, I don't even really know much about the actual character. I just think he's such a cool looking figure. So, we'll take a bit of a closer look here. Now, let me just pop him off the stand here so we can get a closer look. Alright, so straight away you see the detail in the face there, like the over-exaggerated sort of mouth with, the massive fangs and everything, like the very monstrous-looking goblin features, the big red eyes, and I mean, you can see there's a lot of detail being added in with the paint as well. Like, he's had a bit of an extra wash, extra sort of darkness around the eyes, in the teeth as well to make them look all sort of dark and grungy, the dark sort of paint on the tongue there. Even just the tattered edges of his hood, just adds that sort of more extreme nature. Just looks like a monster, basically. Now he's got the big claws on his hands. He has these chains around his wrist, more sort of tattered edges on the fabric there. As the scales all sculpted in, along the arms. Now we've seen that with some of the other Goblin characters, some of the, Hobgoblin, Green Goblin, all that sort of thing. There's been a few of those with that sculpted sort of scale mail armor. But yeah, this one almost looks like it's just part of his actual skin, It just adds to that monstrous kind of appearance to him. So yeah, it's the same on both hands, the, very exaggerated, demonic sort of claws, chains there, more ripped tatters on the material. Same around his waist, and he has this, big gold sort of demon head belt buckle. The big sort of pirate boots that are looking a little bit tattered as well. Not quite as much as the rest of him, but, a little bit. And yeah, like I mentioned before, his glider is just a big sort of flaming demon as well. So yeah, just everything about him, it's just such a cool character. I really do need to get into some of the comics and actually read some of the stories that he's from, because like I said, I really don't know much about him as an actual character. I just think this figure looks so cool. Now, the one thing they could, I mean, like a lot of figures that have plastic capes, the one improvement really could be a soft good, a cloth cape, as a replacement for this. But, I mean, it still does a good job. It definitely gives him that appearance of sort of flying forward with the cape flying out backwards a bit to give him a sense of movement. So it does look good. I can't complain about that. I really can't fault him on it. It's got some cool details on there too, heaps of sort of wrinkles and folds sculpted in. So it does have that cloth appearance to it. I mean, it's very glossy, like plastic, of course. But, it has these sort of rips and tatters in it as well, like the rest of the outfit. So, yeah, again, it's just another cool part of the costume. It could be improved with a cloth cape, but, it's not something I'm going to stress about. Honestly, I just think he looks fantastic. Now, I know there are other much more iconic villains, but, yeah, for me, he's just the coolest one that I've got anyway. The coolest looking figure of that lot. There's heaps of awesome ones. Again, like I mentioned in the last week's one with the Spider-Man figures, I might have to do a part 2 of the villains as well, because there's just so many awesome ones to choose from. This was honestly really a tough call. I love how this guy looks. He's fantastic, but there's so many other awesome ones that could have easily taken the top spot as well. So yeah, I think I've already talked myself into it. We're definitely going to have to do a part 2 and take a look at some of the other awesome villain figures we've got for Spider-Man. So yeah, that's pretty much just about it for him. So let's wrap it up. So here we go. This is my top 3 Spider-Man villains for this week. Now, obviously, like I said before, there are so many awesome ones to choose from, so we're definitely going to have to come back and do a part 2 of this. I'll leave it for a few weeks. I don't want to just repeat the same formula again, 2 weeks in a row. But yeah, we'll give it a few weeks, and we'll come back again and take a look at some more Spider-Man villains, because there are just so many cool figures. Alright, and if you enjoyed these top 3 countdowns, then please check out my other top 3 Thursday videos. I've done, I think this is about 9 or 10 now, so there's plenty of other ones to choose from. And yeah, please let me know if you're enjoying this, and we'll keep going with it next week. Anyway, yeah, thanks so much. If you've already seen the short, I really appreciate you checking that out. Thanks for watching this one as well. And if you're enjoying it, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, then please hit the subscribe button. I really do appreciate it, and it really does help. So thank you so much, everyone who already has subscribed. All right, we'll catch you next week for more Top 3 Thursday. See you then. Cheers. See ya.